It is time.
How's it going? This is Galaxy Jams. We're here listening to some music. I am Mark Earl D, here to kind of give you a little explanation of what's about to happen here. And this is Caldera. This album came out in '77, and it's just kind of like the first thing that grabs me is, of course, starts out, a good wall of harmonies, and just the bass line is gonna launch.
Chef's kiss.
Mark, I gotta prepare
Right
myself.
Yes,
Prepare myself. Here we go.
it's just grooving.
All right, let's get into it. Sick.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That bass line is fast.
Like, it almost reminds me of kind of like Roundabout.
Yeah, I got that. I love when people use their voice as just an instrument sometimes.
Yeah.
And they're just doing like almost scatting in a way.
Yeah.
This is so old and new at the same time.
Yeah.
Is that a djembe in the back?
Popping.
Yeah, you can hear it.
Either that or it's symbolic.
Yeah.
Or it's a popcorn machine.
The producers in the back like, wait, I got an idea.
Ooh.
Dude, that chord progression is crazy.
Great Zappa. Nice.
It's dope.
Oh yeah. Good.
Steve Tavaglione on the sax.
Dude, that is such a sick bass line.
That is very sick. I love it.
Yeah.
And what's crazy, I'm like sitting there, I'm like thinking, oh, it kind of sounds like this, kind of sounds like this, kind of sounds like this. I looked down at some of my notes that I didn't write, some notes that are here for me, and I was about to say it's very Earth, Wind, and Fire-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just saw Earth, Wind, and Fire on there.
'Cause,
And Larry Dunn of Earth, Wind, and Fire co-produced it.
yeah.
That's why I was just like, man, it sounds like Earth, Wind, and Fire, like some of the stuff in the background. It's like Earth, Wind, and Fire met like Santana met a prog band.
When I listen to that guitar, all I'm thinking is like, I wish bands still did that. You know, did that type of that style of like of guitar tone and phrasing. They don't do that anymore. It's not like that. That's like it's like astonishing. Like it had that like astonishing like blow your face off sound to it.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Imagine how fun
He's ripping it.
Those vocals are insane. Very like Al Di Meola.
Yes. Perfect reference there. Yeah.
And that's something new music can't do. The synths just don't sound like that anymore.
Right. That bass player is just doing so much work.
Yeah. Getting paid by the note.
Like that shit. That's the good shit.
That hold is so unpredictable. It's cool.
Yeah.
That was phenomenal. Thanks for bringing that, man.
Going for the fade out.
Caldera.
Yeah, classic fade out.
Classic fade
And
out.
I like how the album art is like a volcano that like morphs into a tornado.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. One thing I always like to think about, listening to older tracks, especially, it's 1977 this came out, is that there's no quantizing. They're playing the tape.
Yeah.
They're just rocking it out in the studio. They might have laid a couple things down, some separate tracks and stuff, but for the most part, they're working hard getting all that stuff down, and they're not playing around. They're just take after take after take, crushing
And that's
it.
probably why the fade out was so prevalent, because it's like someone started like messing up right, after the fade out.
We're just gonna
so
fade you out there,
just gonna
buddy.
Fade it out.
Never know the reason. Could just wanted to fade out, but yes, they could have been messing up. It's totally true.
Yeah. I think that, like I said, I wish that they made music like this again. Like that guitar part, like the da-na-na-na-na-na-na. It's like, I wish that more bands had that direction in their guitar solos. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that with that is, there's so much more influences that, everybody kind of spans off in their own little world and influences nowadays. I mean, it was harder to find new music back then. It was like you either heard it on the radio or you went to a show.
Record store or something like that.
A record store and you just picked up a random album or a friend told you about something. But, nowadays it's so many influences, I think that it almost kind of muddies the water on what people listen to in a way.
Yeah.
Kind of gets people to, they can't concentrate on certain things. And I think that back then, they're like, there's a lot of jazz influence in that, a lot of funk influence in that. And a lot of what those guitar players were doing was kind of combining that like Latin and funk and jazz influences all in one, but they weren't also trying to sound like, the thousands of other bands that came up on their Spotify playlist.
Yeah, for sure.
They didn't have Spotify playlists.
Right.
It's actually what I love about this whole project, the Galaxy Jam project, is even me just being on the podcast with you guys. There's so many songs I've never even heard before, and it's the first time. So I can imagine a lot of people watching are kind of like, "Oh my god, I've never heard that either." And it just puts them down a rabbit hole of new music. So
Well, and this is like one of the favorite things I always like to do with my friends anyway, is hang out and just listen to music. And just try to oh yeah, you like that, you'll love this. You like that, you'll love this. And when even when I was a kid growing up, we'd all bring our records over and sit on the floor and put them on and be like, oh, have you heard the new Dream Theater? Have you heard the new this? Have you heard the new that? And that's how we learned about stuff.
Yeah, and that's I love the new resurgence of records. Vinyl is coming back, and so now it's putting a big emphasis on albums, instead of listening to, when you get to Spotify, it's easy to just play one song,
Singles,
go somewhere else. And it's like, no, it was written this way and, placed in a specific order to kind of emote this feeling from you from this album.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
yes.
that's why I like the main reason why I love vinyl records is that they're expensive and they're inconvenient.
And they're very heavy too.
That's why I like.
You have
to store them the right way.
Yeah.
I remember when I cleaned out my vinyl. I had a huge vinyl collection when I was younger, and I cleaned it out because nobody wanted it anymore. It was hard to store. CDs came out, and it was awesome, and it was I could just run around with this, and I got rid of it all. But I remember shoveling that stuff, trying to go and sell it and stuff like that. It was just a huge weight. And I remember even a lot of the bookshelves and stuff we would put albums into would start crumbling under the
oh my god,
the pressure,
the weight of it.
Yeah.
Oh god.
And there's a discernible sound difference between CDs and vinyl, right?
Oh yeah.
warmth and
Oh
all
yeah,
that.
100%.
That's
Well,
cool.
and plus a lot of the receivers and stuff you were playing it through had tubes. And that
Much warmer
right there,
sound.
oh man,
Yeah.
it's
I'm
insane.
convinced it's not even like that. I think it's that, but I think it's also the physical thing being translated analog right into noise. It definitely listening to a record is, especially if you do a Bluetooth, I've actually listened to a record player with Bluetooth. It does not sound the same at all, but when it's all wired together, it's quite an experience. And then also you have to be thinking about it, because I know for my record player, if the record's over, I have to grab it out of there, or else it's just gonna wear out the needle and spin forever. And so it's also an experience. It reminds me of when you put steak on the grill, because right when you put the steak on the grill, you need to be an active participant in that steak process until it comes out. You know what I mean? You got to flip it. You got to you got to just be around and be attentive. It's an active thing. It's not like with Spotify where you just throw it on and then you just totally forget about it and tune in and out. Listening to a record has to be an active experience.
I remember I still have this one record player at my house, but I got to get it reworked. It's one of those nice cabinet ones that had the radio. Ooh. It's a Zenith. Yeah. It still works. I just really need to get some new things for it. And I want to refurbish it, but I just remember that we had it did have a thing you could stack up, I think 6 or 7 records, and it would play through the record and flip it over,
awesome.
and then it would take it and put it over here, and then it was this automatic arm thing.
So I want that.
Yeah, I just want to get it reworked and refurbished, but it's got a cool wicker front to it. It's pretty sweet.